If you could choose one asset to live off, Bitcoin or gold, let's say Bitcoin doesn't exist or gold stops exist, which one would you go for?
Wow. My ethnicity is Asian, like I'm Indian, and my blood only allows me to choose gold. So I would hands down be sold to gold because it's an asset I have seen my grandparents cherish in their homes. If I had to pick one over Bitcoin or gold, I would go with gold.
That's Mahek Kewlani, and her ideas are reshaping how the world thinks about the oldest asset on Earth. Before crypto, she built financial models at Goldman Sachs, tracked capital at Warburg Pincus, and worked on M&A due diligence at FTI Consulting. Today, she's Regional Director for MENA at Bigod, building a bridge between thousands of years of trust in gold and the infrastructure of blockchain. At the Vietnam RWA Summit, in front of thousands of regulators, bankers, and builders, her message was simple. Tokenization puts assets on chain. Utility gives people a reason to use them. And for Mahek, gold isn't just an asset, it's culture, it's family. It's something she watched her grandparents cherish long before blockchain existed. So what happens when one of the world's oldest stores of trust goes digital? Welcome to Crypto OGs.
So we're ready. So I normally start the podcast saying welcome, but this is the best part to start the podcast, just casual. Welcome to Crypto OGs, Mahek Kewlani.
You got it.
I made it. So Mahek, we've been talking on WhatsApp, but also we've been talking the last few minutes about what you've been doing. But you are the Regional Director of MENA for Bigod Management, that also are the company behind Bigod. So we will talk about it. But before talking about the whole company, I'm really looking forward to be here about you first, about this company. This podcast called Crypto OGs. But it doesn't matter if you've been 10 years or 1 month or 2 years in crypto, because everybody can become an OG really fast. You know, they say in crypto 1 year is like 10 years.
Right.
And you tell me that you have a really good story. Actually, you studied traditional finance in Boston for 4 years, and then you work also for Warburg, Pincus, Goldman Sachs. This is private wealth, and then you moved into crypto a couple of years ago. Like, what moved you into this part of the world, into crypto, but especially real world asset tokenization?
So I'll definitely say I've had a very interesting journey overall. I wouldn't say I've left traditional finance behind because of the project that I've joined, which is a real world asset tokenization. So I still have some touch into the traditional finance world. But you're right, I do come from a traditional finance background, and I worked at all these big institutions where I learned a lot in terms of like investing, in wealth management, in growth of your wealth or preserving your wealth, so on and so forth. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with traditional assets. So that's the knowledge that I gained there. And when I was presented with the opportunity to join Bigod, it became more in the sense that how can you take the trust of a traditional asset onto a modern technology, or onto a technology that is changing the world, and let's say unlock the possibilities of a digital asset. And I think that's the way I perceived it during my pivot into the crypto and blockchain world.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've joined a company that sits in between these two spaces, traditional world, because Bigod is a gold-backed token, and the, let's say, modern or blockchain world.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I find fascinating is I have been long time in the industry, but I have seen many people moving from traditional finance, you know, from big banks, from big, even like forex brokers and all of that. People that have been in that side, and even lawyers, you know, and they move into Web3 blockchain, and they never leave. They never go back. The only person that I know that went back, he was Felix, the CFO of Chapo Bank in 2016. He was the CFO of the Chapo Bank. Is a massive. And then he left. He went back to traditional finance. But most of the people that come from traditional finance into Web3, they don't go back.
I mean, there's no reason to go back, right? This is the future, the technology, the world is evolving. And the technology is something that is definitely here to stay and here to like take the world to greater places. So once a person enters this industry and sees the potential and the future that it could actually bring, I feel like there's no reason to leave, but there's a reason to find ways to collaborate between the blockchain world and the traditional world. And once that collaboration happens, I think it becomes the new normal.
Yes, and I like to actually I start to have more guests like you, you know. My very first guest I was talking to you was the guy from Reef Capital. They come from traditional finance into crypto, and then, but they're not going back or forth. They're just staying in between to help to understand traditional finance, how Web3 works, but also bringing Web3 people into understand that you need regulations, compliance, and structure. It's very important. So talking about that, let's talk about, this is something that we were talking before the show. We were talking about gold. And I told you I have seen so many people trying to have a token linked to real gold, you know, and then somebody said, well, we have all the gold in, I don't know, in Switzerland, or we have it in Abu Dhabi, or we have it somewhere else. And then most of these projects, they didn't survive, right? Or maybe they are there, but the token is not performing well. So what is different? First, give us a version of what is Bigod. So Bigod, yes, no Bigod. And what does 250 grams of physical gold per token means for someone holding one Bigod?
Okay.
Sorry, it's a very elaborated question.
Yeah, it's very elaborated. So I'm going to break it down in a couple pieces. What is Bigod? Is in essential, it is an RWA token.
Okay.
That is backed by 250 grams of physical gold per token.
Okay.
But what makes Bigod different as compared to all the other tokens that you mentioned in the projects that you mentioned is because when the token was being created, the question wasn't, okay, how can I make a different token or a gold-backed asset token or, like an RWA token? That wasn't really the question or the basis of the token being created.
Okay.
Rather, it was more along the lines that how can we actually create a use case in the crypto world?
Okay.
That was the big idea because a lot of these companies were coming up with tokens and a lot of there was a lot of hype around it whilst the idea was being incorporated. It became more like, okay, we want to create a token, we want to enter this field, but what can we do different that's going to make us stand out from everyone else? So it became more like, okay, we'll do a gold-backed token which has an asset, which provides its security to an investor. It provides a floor value to the token. But what is going to be the reason why a person will wake up every morning and want to use Bigod or trade Bigod and have a utility behind it? So that was the concept that we hung on to, and that's how you created the token.
Okay.
So it did not just want to make gold a store of value, rather bring gold back into our daily lives in terms of a use case.
I got it.
And that was to answer like in terms of, what was Bigod and how was it created?
And why it was different.
Yeah.
And any specific reason was 250 grams? Is because it's the size of the transport, the gold?
More than that, it was just the asset that you wanted backing alongside the gold. There wasn't a specific reason. It was more like we wanted to create a token that has a use case, right? So if you have 1 gram of gold behind each token, it doesn't really add that much value. And we wanted to give it a strong foundation. The way I look at it, and since I come from a traditional finance world, I compare everything to the real world. Not saying the blockchain is not a real world, but in the world that I've been born and raised in, it's like the gold, the 250 grams of physical gold, gives it a strong foundation as, let's say, any building needs a foundation, right? So the 250 grams of gold is its physical base. It's its foundation.
Okay.
Whereas the movement of the price of the token or the way the token is going to appreciate is based on how tall can a building grow once its foundation is set. So that's the reason. We wanted a strong foundation. We chose 250 grams. And after that, whatever the appreciation goes alongside it.
And I like that, the fact that you are not just saying, hey, this is the token, you're talking about the whole company. And also you mentioned they've been acquiring for 6 years gold. Now the question is, let me go back to the token because it's so fascinating what you're doing. The token, what chain are you using? Solana, Ethereum?
BNB.
BNB, okay, BNB. And then if it's 250 grams, one token is like you can get like satoshis as well, or is one token?
Oh no, you can get fractional investment in it as well. That's the beauty of blockchain.
Okay. So if I buy one Bigod, it's 250 grams, right?
Yes.
Of gold. So and
as a floor price.
As a floor price, but then I can buy fraction of that Bigod, like a Bitcoin.
Yeah,
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And now this is the other part. Going back to the traditional finance that you have the background, I'm going to get deeper. Like, what convinced you this model stands up? It's similar to the question that I asked you, but what excites you where it's heading? Because you say the foundation is here, but it's heading somewhere. So you probably understood the vision of the founders, and that's why you probably joined. So where do you think this is heading? What do you see in 5 years?
So I think that's a very different question to answer, but I definitely would say what convinced me to joining Bigod was the question that the founders had in mind, is that why will we use the token? And that led to the answer saying that we want to build a community or an ecosystem around it that gives the token its utility purpose, that makes gold no longer just a store of value. Because for years and years now, gold has been just preserved in vaults and it's become a store of value and it's been an appreciating asset. Yeah. But if we go back centuries from now, gold was a medium of exchange. And we stopped doing that because it was difficult to put value to this asset. So the concept came down to how can we put value to this asset and how can we actually use it in our everyday lives, and what is the way to bring that utility into this economy. And I think that's what pushed me towards joining them, is because they focused more on the utility, more on the ecosystem that's going to be created alongside the token to actually have a use case with the token.
Okay. And now, let's talk about you. Before we were in the lounge, you were talking about an example with coffee, right? Can you elaborate more than that so that people understand in the future what they can do with Bigod?
Of course. So the way I would say it is that we've created there is an old marketplace where actually the token of Bigod can be used. And the whole vision behind this was to say that, let's say there's a coffee farmer or a vendor sitting in Vietnam and they do really well in their local market, but they don't get expansion or exposure into the global market. So they can list themselves on this platform, which is our marketplace, and sort of get an exposure to a wider and global audience. And that way, they can, let's say, unlock the possibilities within their business as well on a global scale. And they get to do that by using Bigod as a medium of exchange for their products. So me sitting in Dubai can actually buy coffee from Vietnam through the digital channels.
Okay, perfect. And now let's go back again to, I have to remember it's Bigod, not Bigod. Because most of the people in the industry right now, people that have been a long time, they always look at the liquidity, the trading price, the volume, TVL, all of the stuff, and also where it's listed. What are the plans for the token? Are you planning to get it listed in more exchanges, or because on chain you can see is no many holders? Maybe there's a reason for that. So if you can tell the crypto guys that have been there looking at the charts and everything, there's always an explanation for everything.
Right.
I have projects, for example, that come to the show, and then they say, look, the market showing that because the TVL the right way, the market cap is not there because it's separated between the DEXs and the central exchanges. So there's always a reason that the founders and the team know more about the situation of the trading numbers, right?
So I guess that's perfectly the way you put it. There is a reason to it, and we need to always elaborate on it when people have this question. It works in the sense that it's only been a year since our token has been issued and released. When it was launched, a lot of people bought into the concept.
Yes.
So most of our token holders as of now are off-chain because they're in vesting periods, they're in staking periods, they've sort of locked in their token for a certain amount of time. And that's why that supply of the token is off-chain. It shows that's why the value of token holders on-chain or on our platforms is currently limited. However, this is not going to be there for the foreseeable future. Quite soon, once all these token holders are done from their vesting periods or staking periods, they're going to come on-chain. And then you can see the sort of growth in terms of the expansion of holders. When it comes to liquidity, of course, our plan is to come on multiple exchange listings, provide that as well. But rather than being a token that was launched and comes on different exchanges, our focus was more in terms of creating that ecosystem that I mentioned, creating a use case behind the token. And based on that, we decided that we're going to do our exchange launches. Of course we will, but on a slower pace to not just force speculative trading on the token, but actually have, once our ecosystem is ready, then actually have demand for the token and have a utility reason for the price to be appreciating and depreciating in the way it would.
Perfect. And now let's talk about people with regulations, and we're talking about MiCA and VARA, and now the Clarity Act. Everybody's talking about always, they want to understand if everything is legit, right? So you have the smart contract audited by Certic. So can you explain everybody what the audit does and does not cover?
Okay. So I think this is a very important factor because one thing that the blockchain does promote is transparency. But one thing that it is notorious for is lack of trust, because a lot of projects have come and played around with it, and then people's trust with the industry has sort of disappeared. So of course it's very important to have the right licenses, regulations and stuff around the project. That's why we decided to get our token and our smart contract audited by Certix. What it covers is the blockchain bit of our token, which is the fact that, our token is audited by Certix, renowned company, in terms of its smart contracts, in terms of its built up, in terms of its code, etc. But what it does not cover is the actual underlying asset behind the token, right? Because Certix is not a gold audit company. So currently we are in a plan of, currently we are under audit from another third party, which is a gold audit company.
A gold one,
Exactly. So we will be releasing these results very soon, or these audit reports very soon on our platform. And that way we're providing for our holders and for our community we're building that trust with them. We're providing them with the complete access and complete transparency in terms of our token being audited, which is the blockchain bit, our gold being audited, which is our asset, and all sorts of information that they do wish to look on for online.
You probably replied already. The next question that I have is that on the gold reserve themselves, what does verification look like today? And what the roadmap for independent, publicly available proof of reserve? So that's what you're doing with this third-party company.
That's what we're doing with the third-party company. Obviously, our goal is to ensure that there is trust with our token because like I said earlier, the trust within this industry is a little bit shaken up. So we want to do and build as much trust and transparency we can with the audit reports and the reserves that we'll be publishing throughout this project.
Throughout this project.
Yeah.
So you know what is fascinating about all the regulations? Recently, I think it was Paolo from Tether, right? They don't have the MiCA license, USDT, right? And they don't want to apply for the MiCA license because he said in the tweet, in order to apply for the MiCA license, for them, they need to prove they have 60% of those Tether in the banks in Europe. And he said, why are you going to just put a bunch of cash in different brands? So it doesn't make any sense for them, right? Maybe this is the question that people ask you as well, guys, a lot, like, who holds the physical gold? It's not like the CEO had the gold in his office, because people think that way, right?
Yeah, it's probably hidden in the walls behind him.
Who holds the physical gold, and how is the custody structure? That probably everybody asks you, right?
Right. So actually, our custodian is this company called Ion Gold.
Yes.
They are based out of Hong Kong, and they've been in the gold business for about, I'd say, over a decade now.
Okay.
So they're a custodian. They're the ones holding the gold. When you ask where is it held, it would be more in terms of the vaults that the custodian is partnered with.
They're not going to tell anyone.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, for security reasons, we don't want any sort of any information to be public that's not allowed. But they're held in different or multiple jurisdictions. Let me put it in that sense. One thing I do like about our custodian as well is that they've identified diversification is key, because you never know what can happen in a global economy. So they've not held all of the physical asset in one place, but multiple jurisdictions. And that's why, again, we come down to the point that we're getting our gold audited, and these audit reports will be available for people to know that, okay, this physical asset actually exists that is backing the token.
I think that's the most fascinating thing that you are doing, because to put in perspective in your head, for the degens of the crypto natives, it's too difficult to understand, right? For the people that come from traditional finance, it's probably easier to understand, and then combine it together is what I think so that's your goal, to understand the vision and to explain how it works.
I think that's exactly what made me pivot as well in terms of my career. But the whole vision was, we had a lovely asset that we were using to trade centuries ago. Gold was used as a medium of exchange. It was used to trade, to settle debts, build economies. If I'm being honest, entire civilizations were actually built on this particular asset.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, we woke up one day and decided we do not want to use this physical asset.
In 1970 something, right?
Right. When the act was passed against the US dollar not being pegged to gold. So we decided, okay, we're not going to use this asset. And since then, it became the store of value. But people, I'm assuming everyone across the globe understands and loves gold. They use it as a store of value. They'll buy it. They'll keep it in their homes and stuff. But they don't see another use case to it. So the point was to bring this store of value on chain, to have a use case attached to it, to have people actually use it as a medium of exchange, to bring that old concept that gold is money back into the real and modern world.
Money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Right. But bring that way or that idea back into the real world, to use it as a medium of exchange, and creating a token that actually sits right in the middle of these two worlds.
You know what is, because I had the next question is together to put together to that one, but some gold-backed projects are moving toward regular published third-party reserve audits, yes, physical inspection, serial numbers, independent valuation. So that's what Ion is doing. Ion.
Yeah.
You know what remind me? I don't know if you have read this book called Bitcoin Billionaires.
I actually was recommended, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
I love the books about crypto. So I read Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper.
Yes.
Very good book.
That was the, what is it called? My entry into
It's
the
good,
digital
right?
world. Yes.
I love that. And then also, there's so many. But Bitcoin Billionaires is the story of the twin Lebos. I don't know who's the twin Lebos, the twins from Facebook.
Right.
And then they are the founder of Gemini. So just think about what you are doing with the reserve of gold. In the book, after they made Charlie Shrimp, they started to buy a bunch of Bitcoin, right? During MT Gox era. And then they were paranoid, they didn't know what to do. And then what they did with all the Bitcoin that they bought, they put the 12 seed phrase, they write it down, and then they went to each different banks across America and put the seed phrase in different vaults.
Oh, no way.
That's what they did at the beginning, because they were new, they were scared, they didn't know there was no treasure, there was nothing like this.
Right.
So I was thinking, it's trying to explain that to somebody now is they're going to laugh, but trying to explain that to somebody 10 years ago when Bitcoin, you don't know where to put your Bitcoin, and then you want to make sure nobody going to steal. And obviously they're not going to tell anybody, hey, my seed phrase is in Bank of America in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I know it's an analogy, it's a comparison, but I think so. Fast forward to do it properly, and now we have all this. We have custodians and everything. This is something that you're doing with Bigod, with Ion. They're doing it properly.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting and intriguing. I will definitely be reading the book. It's been on my list for a while, but that is the end goal, right? Of course, we're not going to release the locations of the gold because it's no one is going to want to do that. But these audit reports are conducted by a third party, which will show and like provide all the information that is required to ensure that there's trust and to ensure that people believe or people see that there is actually an underlying asset that is stored in various jurisdictions. So I guess it wouldn't be completely declaring, but the audit reports do verify the physical asset's existence.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating thing to think about. Now, let's talk about real world assets, right? Beyond the token itself, because everybody talks about tokens, utility, real world assets. What's life today in terms of real world usage, payments, merchants, OTC, versus what is still on the roadmap for Bigod?
So actually, there's a lot of exciting things coming up.
Okay.
We have definitely created our own ecosystem that is currently launched, and we have our OTC platform, our peer-to-peer exchange, our escrow solution, our payment solution already launched and up and running for people to use. We've also recently launched our marketplace, where, like I was giving that example of coffee from Vietnam being able to be sold in Dubai. So that marketplace is also currently available, launched for people and vendors to be listed on and actually use it to do these transactions. And that marketplace uses Bigod as a medium of exchange.
Only Bigod.
Well, it uses Bigod in terms of the crypto world, but it would also use like regular payment measures.
But people get some discount if they use Bigod.
Well,
not yet.
I mean, I guess like sure, you know how like you get like all of these promotions on any marketplace. Definitely, you will get benefits of using. Yeah, let me put it in that sense. Benefits of using Bigod, and like it would lead to a better transaction for them, but. I wouldn't say discounts. If I may. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Now, we were talking before, like the market being brutal since October last year, right? People lose hope. People is not trading on central exchanges. Maybe Hyperliquid have a good run right now, but retail markets is hard right now for all the Web3 companies, right? Especially with token and everything. But you see in the institutional side growing, right? You see people like going to family offices, hedge funds, to the big guys to do deals instead of going to retail. But retail is always going to be there no matter what. So what is the plan for you guys? Like you go to market links toward institutions over retail, and with your Goldman Sachs experience, what do institutional allocators need to see before they commit to something like this?
Okay. So that's actually very interesting, and I will answer it in two parts. One being that definitely you cannot discredit the retail market. Yeah. Everyone wants institutional access. Everyone wants like support from like massive institutions, but the retail market is also a very big market. Yeah. So we've not restricted ourselves or like told us that, okay, we're currently just on the hunt for institutions or just on the hunt for retails. We're open and welcoming to any and every person who's able to see the vision behind Bigod. It can be anyone buying half a token. It can be anyone buying 10 tokens, 100 tokens. It depends on whatever it is, just because for us, it's more about people adopting the concept and understanding the vision behind it rather than running behind funds, because that's not the goal.
Okay.
That's there. But when I look at when your question says with the values and teachings I've got from Goldman, what are institutions actually looking for? It sort of comes down to they need regulation, they need governance, and they need all the information sort of to be clear, easily delivered, and transparency. And the one thing that I do like about the blockchain technology or the industry is that it promotes transparency.
Okay.
And we're going off that value completely. So we want to be as transparent as we can. Our goal is definitely to get all the regulatory licenses and all the compliances that we can ensure for our token, to build that trust and to ensure that that's there amongst our community and amongst the people that are supporting us. So for institutions and for them itself, we're working towards the transparency and the trust layer.
Okay.
And that's going to be an ongoing effort. It doesn't mean that today we publish these reports or these audit reports and then are not there tomorrow. It has to be an ongoing thing. And that's what we're working towards.
Okay, great. I have something to add about this, and I have a next question for you. We became super regulated and super compliant. And you see when you sign up for an exchange, for example, before you go and trade, they tell you in a massive message, cryptocurrency, you can lose all your money, right? That's what they do at the exchanges. Or even when you're going to withdraw money, you say, there's a potential risk that it's a scam. This person, you don't know this person. Why are you sending this money? Are you going to send it to a centralized exchange, to a decentralized exchange? So that's with the centralized exchanges. People, they say, even before they start to trade, they do the KYC, but they want to go leverage, then you have to answer a questionnaire. So the exchanges, they look after themselves very well, but they have to. And also with the Forex, the traditional trading, the brokers, they also put there 87% of the people lose when they're trading and stuff. So for you guys, what is the owner risk you want a potential holder to understand what could happen to them?
Okay. I think that's a very interesting question.
Yes.
So I'll be honest, the exchange or the flash warnings that you mentioned that are there in the crypto world, they're also very much there in the traditional finance world. Like you just said, Forex or exchanges, they highlight that you can lose all your money, you don't know what's going to happen and stuff on that side. When it comes to identifying the risk with Bigod, I wouldn't want to put in the words that, there is no risk. I would want people to actually understand the product.
Okay.
And understand the reason why it's created and the potential growth story behind it. A lot of people, what they do in the crypto world is that they trade tokens just for speculation basis, and then they end up thinking that, I lost my money because, the price dumped, or the token didn't do well, or something happened with the company and the project wasn't a success. So when someone is joining Bigod, I want them to look at a little bit of the bigger picture. And that's the kind of risk that they need to understand, is that what is the token actually created for, and how long will it take for the world to actually adapt to that? Because it's not like I'll wake up tomorrow morning and stop, everything and then just use Bigod. It's more like building that trust within the economy, building that utility, building that use case, and getting people comfortable with the project. And I think that's the risk that most people don't understand when trading crypto. So forget Bigod, this is in generic. For anyone who's trading crypto, they just come in reading books like Crypto Billionaires and thinking that tomorrow this is going to happen. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up a billionaire and I'll just make a lot of money from it. Rather, they should actually ask the question and look into the factor, is that what is the benefit or what is the reason why this token was created and what can it yield for me in the future? So then it should then become why should I invest into this project? How long should I sort of have a foreseeable future or sight for this project, and what will make it work?
Okay, good. I like it. I like the answer.
Thank you.
Now, for listeners and people watching who've seen a lot of asset-backed projects come and go, remember we were talking about this, what milestones over the next year should they watch to see Bigod delivering, and where can they follow along and verify the project?
Of course. So following on all of our platforms, they can sort of follow us, see the updates over there. But what are the measurable milestones for the next year? Let's put it in that sense. For me, would be to increase our liquidity. So that would be through exchange listings, through the usage of the token, and you can see the actual circulation of the token, the adoption of the marketplace that is actually created alongside the token. So having people use that, experiment that, come on that as vendors or as users and see the transaction side of the token. Obviously a little bit on the regulatory front as well, which is very important with our audit reports coming out against our gold. So all of these things for me and for us, I guess, would be the milestones that we're achieving, because we're in this for the long run. We want the token to get adopted. We want the people to understand the vision behind the token. So as and when these smaller milestones get achieved, the project sort of grows on its own.
I got it. Now I have a last question for you, in a personal opinion, no from the Bigod team or Bigod management. For you as a person, I had this question to my friend. He used to work for Binance and he worked for McKinsey, but he's launching a new project on the content creation side. But he's also in crypto. But this question is for you.
Okay.
If you could choose one asset to live off, Bitcoin or gold, you can choose only one and you have to keep it, and this is the only, let's say Bitcoin doesn't exist,
Okay.
It stopped to exist, or gold stopped exist, which one would you go for?
Wow, this is a very interesting question, and I think my ethnicity is Asian, like I'm Indian, and my blood only allows me to choose gold. So I would hands down be sold to gold. Because it's an asset I have seen my grandparents cherish in their homes, and my parents as well, and even the entire lineage. Like gold holds a lot of value and prestige in my culture, and I think in a lot of Asian cultures. So if I had to pick one over Bitcoin or gold, I would go with gold.
Well, that is with Bigod as well.
Yeah, which is why again the whole basis of me joining the project, because I see the physical asset there.
Thank you so much for coming to the show. It was very interesting to learn about Bigod and about you, and I hope that you guys do the first project that become sustainable and successful within the gold community as well. So I'm looking forward to see what is coming to you the next years. And is there any event that you're going to be, so I can tell people that's going to, are you going to Hong Kong, Singapore?
We'll be at multiple events this year, Token 2049 being definitely one of the biggest ones in the crypto market. So watch out or see us there, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much again for coming to the show, and thank you so much everybody for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember, Crypto OGs powered by Reef Capital. Bye-bye.
Thank you.